Welcome back. This is Fantastic Pains and How We Hide Them. I'm not Chris,
And I'm not Karina.
but we're here together
As usual.
for more fun times.
Unlike last week, which we were not a part of.
We were a part of it. You didn't get to be a part of it because bad things happened to the things.
Yeah, well, we lost half of the episode. We had to shoot it in 2 parts to begin with. We lost the second half, and then the first half audio was corrupted, so I couldn't use any of it. So we don't have an episode.
So today is the day after when it would have come out, and
Yeah.
so we did not mean to worry everybody, but unfortunately we kind of did.
I mean, I appreciate the concerns. Like,
Yes.
It's very sweet.
I'm glad you guys wait for these, but sometimes they just don't work out.
It's been a while since we've had one that didn't work out, though.
I know. And it was sad because we both left the recording and we were so excited because it was so good.
It really was.
It was so good. It was such a good episode. But now we're on to other things.
Yeah.
So maybe we will revisit some of those topics today. But I think we just decided that it would be a disservice to everyone, including ourselves, if we tried to recover any of last week.
Yeah, like force it.
Yeah.
You can't. It was organic and wonderful. And
Yeah.
Can't do it.
So
we have to forget about it, and then
right? And then we'll reapproach it later on.
Yeah.
One day in the far, far away. If this is your first time joining us, this is our podcast / YouTube channel about life with chronic illness and other invisible conditions. Where can they find us?
We're on YouTube, obviously. We're on Spotify,
Indeed.
Amazon, and there's an
Audible,
Audible.
right?
That was the
Yeah.
other big one.
Google Podcast.
And then
There's a couple
Podbean,
others.
little ones. But we're on most, except for
Apple.
we don't
no
do Apple.
None.
No, they're not getting my money.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
Right?
You have enough. Stop it.
Stop it, Apple.
So you can find us on any of those places. You can also find some of our silly stuff on TikTok,
Yes.
where we are just Fantastic Pains.
Yep.
But they make us giggle, so hopefully maybe you will giggle.
They're great.
Or you'll just be amazed at these very strange humans that you've just watched.
Our antics, really.
Because it's a sibling show, in case you didn't know. So there you go.
Yeah.
Yup. So what are we talking about today?
We're going to be talking about taking responsibility for your thoughts, actions, feelings.
Yes. Yup. That's pretty much the gist of it.
Yeah.
So really talking about how, in the end, all of these things are our responsibility. And while we all want to put them off on someone else or something else or blame things on things, it's really a different world when you are able to examine them objectively and take responsibility for your own self.
Mhm.
So that'll be the topic today. But before we go there, anything else?
No?
All
It's
right.
time.
It is time for the weekly recap.
Check in.
Woohoo!
Time happened.
I've been in hell.
Do you want to go first, or you wanna skip yours? I mean,
know. I'll go first as far as I can.
okay.
Oh my God, I don't even know at this point. It's been so rocky and everything's been so heightened.
Turbulent.
Yeah. So I've kind of been living in fight or flight for a while. And it's turbulent everywhere. So there's a lot going on at work that's really difficult. I had to sit through a training that was just boring and horrible, but it was 3 hours of my life.
Oof.
And that was fun. And I'm not getting any of my work done because there's always something else that needs done.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't have any mental health in the building. So
Oh yeah.
who becomes mental health? That'd be me. So I had kids just kind of like shifting and shuffling in and out throughout the whole week.
Right.
Like, Miss, can we talk? I'm like, yes, of course we can talk. So yeah, it was just a really long week. And then there's just been some like really big turbulence and kind of shifting tides at home. And I don't know, you know how some things like they reach a point where the dynamic has to shift,
Mm-hmm.
whether you want it to or not. Like
Yeah.
things have got to be done differently. And so that's been a little bit challenging
Yeah.
and exhausting. And
Well, it sucks when change is forced on you,
yeah,
and not like like
It's
in
just circumstances.
right,
yeah.
where you reach to the point where it has to.
Right.
Because if things don't, then yeah, that's rough. It's rough.
I was gonna say it's a braggy moment. Sorry, but I went to My Chemical Romance.
Oh, she
Friday.
did. Lucky.
I don't even really like them.
Ah,
but
sacrilege.
Yeah.
No emo for you.
No, I wasn't ever like.
I know.
Yeah, that was not my scene. But I can say objectively that they absolutely killed it.
Nice.
Especially for singing at altitude. But from what I have heard of them, they were like on point the entire concert. So they killed it. It was awesome. My husband had a really good time. But, it's hard. I've just kind of been living like moment to moment.
Yeah.
But I've kind of made a decision that's kind of the catalyst for this episode, where it's time to start prioritizing myself and taking responsibility for myself to make change, because my mental health had been deteriorating over time.
Oh, I'm sure we could chart it.
Yeah.
through the podcast.
Through the podcast, it would just be like this steady. They're like, "Where's rock bottom?" Oh, it's up there.
Oh yeah, we passed like 5 episodes ago.
We're in hell now. I don't know.
Yeah, who knew you could get this low? Weird.
That's where I'm at. Yeah. But it's also hard because like there are certain things that you can tell people and other things you can't, and it's also hard because like masking is a thing, and like I still have to go to work and try to be a normal person at work, and it's weird because it's so much easier with the kids,
right?
Because I can
I get that,
really
like,
devote my whole attention to them.
It's the same with having kids or like at sailing school. Like if I was having a bad day, didn't matter because the kids were there, and it's like you can easily fake anything for them,
right?
Like there's no effort involved,
right?
And you're just glad to do it because you're like, oh, your people are wonderful. I like you little people.
Yeah. And then they'd leave the room and I'd be like, time to cry.
Yes. then you're left with yourself again.
Yeah.
Or if an adult walks in the room, ugh.
Oh yeah. Or if someone's like, do you need a hug? And I'm like, I will kill you. But also, yes, I do need that. But if you hug me,
okay,
I'll implode.
Because I've been talking to Austin all week.
Yeah.
And he has said more than once that you need a hug.
Yes.
But not in a demeaning way.
I mean, but I do.
Right.
And like several different ways I could use a hug. But Friday was just one of those days where I was like, if you hug me, I will burst into tears.
Yeah.
And it'll be over because I will be hysteric.
Yep.
So please don't do that.
Don't
not
trigger me,
now.
please.
So yeah, it's just been a lot.
And
I mean, anyone watching this podcast, I'm sure could chart it from the outside and be like, Jesus Christ, what's wrong with your life? Who did you wrong in your like past life?
Yeah.
Because it's just been hell for a very long time.
Who Madame Zeroni'd you?
Right, for real. Why is my bloodline poisoned?
Yeah.
But yeah. So.
Should I do mine?
Yeah.
I lost an episode and was very upset. Yeah. I've been playing lots of games with people. Yeti included. Yeti Sketty. Who watches these apparently.
How dare you?
Yeah, get out of here. You stop. No, I don't look good. Shut up.
Keep watching. It's fine.
Yeah, please.
Like, just
we need you to
don't
leave.
look away.
So I've been hanging out with people all week. Was upset about the episode.
Did you see Dr. Anna?
Not this week, no.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't see anybody this week. It was weird. I didn't have any appointments.
Interesting.
I need to get my imaging done though.
Yeah.
Just I need to schedule that bad. Right. And then I remembered what it was. I did something yesterday. Did I do something yesterday?
Teeth?
No.
Because I skipped teeth also. I broke a tooth.
She did. I did chip one. Again.
Yeah.
I totally had a thing that I did, and I was going to talk about it at length. Oh, well. I don't know. I had a week, and it went away.
The week happened, and then
did.
it was over, and now we're here. I don't know.
It totally did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I don't know. I'll remember it halfway through the podcast and be like, oh, by the way.
That. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll get there, I'm sure.
That's fine.
Because I totally forgot that teeth, they're the worst. And we both broke a tooth.
Oh, I broke my chair.
Oh, yes.
My brand new pink chair.
As you can see.
Yeah, I'm in my my office and she's in an uncomfy chair.
I'm fine. It's good.
I'm just a jerk. I take the comfy things. I'm like, yeah, you sit in that. We came in. She's like, please, can I have the chair? And I was like, no, you
I was,
can't.
like, crying
You're gonna
the whole
stand.
time, and yeah.
And then I threw stuff at her. Remember when I threw stuff at you?
I mean, which time?
Oh, God, no. I was hoping you'd say, no, Chris, you don't do that. But she's got a point. Which time?
This last time? Oh, yeah, that didn't happen.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Last one did, but the
last
other ones?
one?
Yeah.
We gotta be specific.
Yeah, I mean, that was
Your
it.
knees are still
My knees
worst.
are killing me.
Yeah.
Oh, I hate them so much. Because they're uncomfortable in any position but the one position that's bad for them.
Ugh.
Like right now,
Which is the scrunched up. Mm-hmm.
they hurt.
Yeah.
They're throbbing. And
The
I can't
worst.
make it go away. Oh. Jen was sick. That's what it was.
Oh.
She's been sick like off and on all week.
Oh no.
Yeah. So like yesterday she had to come home early and she spent all day in bed and
Oh.
I was just trying to help her get moving, but she just couldn't. It was not happening.
No good.
No. Yeah. So that's that.
Great.
Yeah. With that, we can get into our topic.
All right, cool. So we were just talking about kind of what it looks like to take responsibility for yourself and how you get to a point where you are able to do that.
Right.
Because like we've talked, I think, at length about how it, at the end of the day, it is your responsibility to, I don't even know how to put it really.
Right.
Because there's so many aspects to it. And I think my journey started with, it's my responsibility to teach others how to treat me.
Right.
And that one's not a popular thought.
No. God, no.
But yeah, I mean, it kind of seeps into everything as to whether or not, I don't know, whether or not you're living in blame, like trying to find the blame for things or excuses for things, or explain them away.
It's like we've said it over and over, but we haven't gotten
Mhm.
into it really.
Yeah.
Like we're like, take responsibility for your feelings. You're responsible for this and this, but
Right.
we haven't actually gone into it.
Right. And it's a hard concept for people to hear because they don't want to.
Right. No, we're calling people out on something that they're hiding because they don't want to deal with it. So
Right.
it's like,
Well, and I think it probably comes in part, because there's a lot to this that we have to kind of unpack. But I think part of it comes down to, like, can you be alone with yourself long enough to sift through your own behavior and thoughts and actions in a way that's not, like, pitying or, I don't know, like, dismissive.
right.
Or, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Because it's weird. Like getting started, it's like, I feel like there are two camps. There are people who do it naturally because they grew up that way or whatever.
Right.
And then there's people who don't realize that they're hiding everything.
Yeah.
And when you call them out on it, they get defensive.
Yeah. Well, it's almost like that camp of people, they defend their flawed thinking to a fault, right?
Yeah.
They not even because they want it to be true, because usually that thinking that you're challenging is like, are you sure that people, like, everybody hates you and they want you to die in a hole?
Yeah.
But I feel like the defensiveness that comes from that is almost like, if my thinking is wrong, therefore I am crazy. And so they defend their thinking because otherwise that would mean something negative about them.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like,
well, even if it's not the thought that you're crazy, you're still admitting fault.
Yeah, in a way.
Yeah. So I get that. And I mean, we do it and we don't. So for most things we take responsibility for. Right. Like me and you in what we do naturally, but there's still things that we don't realize we're kind of putting off. Like when someone says something and it hits you just right, you know, you're like, I didn't realize that was something I was upset about. Yeah. Or I didn't realize I did that shit.
Right. Because you tend to like silence it almost, where you're like, nah, not right now. Right. Like it's clearly not dire. The thought is not dire. So we're not going to deal with it this moment. And I think, I don't know, it's hard for the two of us because we are like naturally empathetic people with high EQ and like good self-awareness.
Mm-hmm.
And we're living in a world full of people who don't spend a lot of time with themselves.
Right.
And often that turns into like a fear of spending time with themselves. Like they fear being alone with themselves. And so they busy themselves with other things or make excuses as to why they can't.
Right. Well, and if there's a problem, they want to fix it right away.
Yeah.
Because they can't sit with it.
Right.
Right.
Well, I think that one's a huge one is like, can you sit with yourself and be uncomfortable?
Yeah.
Can you be uncomfortable without having to solve it? Because that, I think, is a really big one where, and I think it goes back to that, like, almost back to delayed gratification.
Mm-hmm.
And whether or not, are you the group of kids who could wait with
Or
the marshmallow, or did
eat?
you eat the marshmallow? And I think that delayed gratification, like, it's not thought about a lot. Like, we don't, it's not part of culture anymore to be like, no, we need to wait for things.
Oh God, no! Everything's designed to be fast and get to you
Exactly.
quickly, and
Yeah,
that does not help when that's
Right.
the modern
mm-hmm.
thought process. Like, like, oh God, just thinking about it. Like, if I have an issue, even with medical, I'm like, let's get it done.
Yeah,
Right. Like, I don't want to sit, not with like physical pain, but I don't want to sit waiting for something.
right.
Like,
Well,
imaging
it's like being
or...
in limbo, right?
Yeah.
Like, we tend to view it like that, where, like, I don't want to be in limbo. I want to have direction somewhere, some way. But then you have like the other side of that, which is like the panic.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, for us, I don't think, and I think part of it is that because we are always in pain, we've learned how to sit with and be uncomfortable.
Right.
Right. So we are accustomed to and used to sitting with something that it doesn't feel good, instead of like, no, we need to bail out. We need to solve the problem. We need a Band-Aid. We need a fix. We need blah, 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 blah. We need, and for me, it's a lot of like managing runaway brain, because runaway brain is the one that's like, oh, it's not working. Burn it to the ground.
Right.
Start over somewhere new with a new name.
Oops, I think I may have offended them. I might have possibly offended them. I'm going to destroy
I don't have friends
this
anymore. What friends? They all hate me.
And it's something stupid, like you didn't think about offering something. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I could have given them cookies. Oh God, I'm the worst. Yeah. God, that's it. Moving to Malaysia.
Well, I think it also goes back to like self-talk, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, sorry, I'm like kicking your feet over
That's
here.
fine.
Trying to find a comfy for my feet. We're both using a footrest underneath the table.
It helps with my
but
knees.
I can't sit still, so
No,
there's
she
that.
can't.
I'm just like, I'll just kick him repeatedly. Sibling time.
Abuse.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All the time.
You lost your thought, didn't you?
Well, not even that I lost it, but it feels so broad that it's hard to like.
I gotcha.
Kind of boil it down.
Okay.
But I think it does. I think it goes back to the self-talk of like, if something feels icky, it therefore must be bad.
Right.
And we kind of apply it to everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're like, that interaction didn't feel good. Social anxiety.
Right. And then it's like, if we have the bad thought, we instantly become bad ourselves.
Yes.
Right? Like, you're categorizing yourself as bad all of a sudden.
Yes. Well, and I think that gets conflated for taking responsibility.
Right.
Right? They're like, oh, I do take responsibility. I hate me. And you're like,
not at all
that's
how that works.
Not the point, actually. Because it's not.
I'm not shaming you.
Right. It's not a moral matter, right? It's not. We can't put morality into our thoughts, right? We have to come at it from a different angle. And that means the responsibility piece of, can I examine my thoughts? Can I reflect on things? Can I reflect on context without making excuses?
Mm-hmm.
Can I figure out where I misstepped so that I can do better and do differently.
Right.
Backity
We're
back. Sorry, children's scissors.
Yeah.
Needed to ask some questions. So we were talking about
Equating
self-hate
yeah.
versus taking responsibility.
Yes.
And I think it happens as children, right? Like, especially for our generation, where it was such a common phrase for people to say things like, you should be ashamed of yourself.
Yes.
Or shame on you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Where, as we've learned, and there's TikTok about this, go watch that. Shame and guilt are not the same thing.
Right.
And shame equates to I am bad versus guilt, I've done bad. And remorse is I feel terribly for the thing I've done bad
mm-hmm.
and want to like make up for that,
mm-hmm.
right? And we've kind of lost this like restorative model. It doesn't exist anymore. So it's this like, I don't know. And I think we've both been there, right? Where you use anything and everything that goes wrong as evidence.
Oh, yeah.
To show why you should hate yourself and how horrible you are and
absolutely
how irredeemable your sins are and that you're just the worst human to ever walk planet Earth.
Yep.
And we've both been there. It's not a good place to be.
No.
And I get it. And I get like anyone who's going through that, it sucks in unbelievable ways. Like I remember in my, I don't know, maybe my late teens, I went through a phase where I covered all the mirrors.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't stand to look at me. That was a fun time. I forgot about that one.
She's now reliving the moment.
Flashbacks. But
gotta bend my knees.
Yeah. But it's not the same thing as like I've done something wrong and I need to make a change and do different.
Right. No. And then that's the big difference, right?
Yeah.
And one is a controlled thought, one is an intrusive thought, really.
Yes. Yeah.
And I get how you could get lost on the way there. Like, well, yeah, no, I am taking responsibility. I've admitted that I did a thing.
Right.
But you got to fix it.
You're like, great, those are facts.
Right.
How are we going to move forward?
Exactly.
So we're not repeating that pattern over and over and over again.
Let's learn from this.
Right. Well, and I think we were talking about like how that applies with self-talk. And I actually had a really good analogy. I was talking to somebody about this the other day where it's like you have the primal you.
Yeah.
In order to work with self-talk and make it productive, it almost has to be a two-way conversation. And so I separate it into like the primal you and the awake you.
It's funny because as a teenager, I had that same thing, but it was subconscious and conscious.
Yeah.
I'd be like, my subconscious self is saying these things. I need to be telling myself the opposite. That was just how I handled things as a teen. But yeah.
It's a weird thing because I know like you and I spent a lot of time in our brains. We've spent a lot of time being alone with our brains. But there are a lot of people who haven't and don't. And the idea of having to be alone with themselves is terrifying.
That's so weird to me, though.
Right.
Like, because I find comfort in it a lot of times.
Yes.
Like, I need to be alone. I need to
I need to be alone to process.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I need space and time to be able to, like, lay things out and go, okay, here's what's going on. Here's how I feel about it. Here's what I can and can't do about it.
Right. So then when you don't do that, are you left with just your, like, reactionary self? I
think so, because then it just, like the
almost like you.
Yeah. It's almost like that anxiety over it builds and builds and builds. And then if you're not processing internally, what is your alternative?
Right. Well, that's how you end up with exploding
externally. Exactly.
Events or
right.
Yeah.
So if you're processing externally, you're like, I feel horrible inside. I'm going to make the outside reflect the inside.
Yeah, or big people.
Yes.
I've been there in the major depression. Like, I feel bad and they don't feel bad. I have to destroy them for some reason.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
It's just so negative.
Well, and it's almost like, have you ever been so sad and then you walk out and you're like, why the fuck is the sun shining?
Yeah.
How dare the sun shine on a day like this? I feel like it's very much that.
I had a lot of those days in recovery. Back recovery, not like drug recovery. Back recovery. Because I put the bed next to the window because I figured in recovery I'd like to see the sun more.
Right.
Hated it. Absolutely
dare
hated it.
the sun be shining.
Right? I'm sitting here. I'm in pain. No one's. I'm like in a dingy, dark room because
Yeah.
we were in the basement. And then I look outside and it's all bright and oh, I had a lot of days where I just sat there and glared at the outside.
It's like when you hate when someone walks by and they're smiling and you're like, I would love to slap that smile right off your face.
I'm going to
for
change
no
you.
reason. No reason.
Why'd you do that? Bad self-talk.
Uh-huh. Well, and that's, I think, how we wind up with like things like reactionary abuse.
Right.
And mirroring. People who can't process internally often have to see themselves in somebody in order to process. And so they will push and push and push and push and push
to get the reaction. Okay.
And then they start to be able to like feel better and calm down.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Like, I get it.
Right.
Like, it makes sense, but I can't imagine doing that to someone. Like say you're having a bad day and you think you did something wrong, so you're like, hey, go fuck yourself. I did this. Oh, I might have dropped the ball on that one. Like,
they're like, what what is wrong with you?
Just like peeking out. Is that a bad thing?
Right.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Or you have these like almost like scripted conversations.
Oh yeah.
Right, where you are not speaking to another person, they become like a prop.
Yep. That
you use to process. And so you're like, it's like when children do the like, I'm the worst.
Yeah.
Is anyone going to tell me I'm not the worst?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm fat.
Sophie's doing that.
Someone please tell me I'm not fat.
Right.
So it's like, it's a holdover from childhood, and we've all done it, and we all do it in certain situations. But it's very much like, and I think it's really important to look at it from an angle of when you do that, I don't know, you're breeding loneliness.
I was gonna say, yeah, like you're not getting anything positive or negative out of it. You're just affirming things you think about yourself that are negative. Right.
Well, and you're not interacting with that person.
Exactly.
You're making them fit a script that you've created.
Mm-hmm.
Of course you're gonna be lonely when other people aren't real.
Right. When you're talking to just a crowd of people who live in your head.
Uh-huh.
And you're not like interacting and getting that genuine connection.
And you're like, here, play this part that I wrote for you. And you're like, what?
That's the worst too, when especially like somebody will do that and they'll come up to you and like act like you did something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but in my head, it's like, no, but it's
like,
not at all how this.
Not real.
Right.
I didn't do anything.
Or reliving things and imagining it like in a bad light, you know?
Yeah.
Like you have a bad interaction and then you come back to that person and you have like a totally.
Oh yeah, your attitude changes based on the like bludgeoning that you've been doing over the last interaction.
Exactly.
But they were not privy to all of that, so they don't understand
where
you're coming from anymore.
I don't know why you're doing this.
Right. And I think, and it's the opposite of mindfulness, right? Like you're not in the moment. You're not with that person.
Oh no, yeah.
You are buried deep within your head and then putting it up like a screenplay for yourself to, it's that confirmation bias. Right. You're like, here, I wrote this thing about myself. It's horrible, but I need you to say it. So I'm going to like poke you until you say it. And then I'm going to be like, aha, see?
Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
Proof.
My theorem. It's correct.
And you're like, wait.
I've solved happiness and now I'm not happy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Man.
So
we've all been there and done it.
Yeah. So then, say you have that thought pattern, right? Like you're in a reactionary, got to fix it, can't have. How do you start having time by yourself? Right? Like, how do you go about reacquainting yourself with yourself?
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Me.
Right, because you have to like dissect and discard the really negative things that you've built about yourself in order to avoid being with yourself, which is really interesting to me that you're like, I'm horrible and I can't be with me because I'm horrible.
Right.
And I'm going to avoid being with me by making all of these like sidetrack things.
Think about how lonely that is too. Like you don't have the comfort of yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's bizarre to me.
Yeah. Well, and then it's hard too when you're equating actions and mistakes to your own self-worth and value.
Mm-hmm.
When that's not the case, and we know it isn't, like, you're not what you've done.
Right.
You're not you're not the mistakes you've made.
Mm-hmm.
You are you. You have made mistakes. Like, you're not.
That's another thing. If you make mistakes and you learn from them, they should be remembered as a positive thing, not a negative.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like I really messed this up, but on the other end,
Mm-hmm.
I came out this way. And
Right. I learned something and I took it into myself and like adjusted things accordingly to falling on my face.
Right.
So I could avoid falling on my face in the future. But yeah, how do you go about shaking your own hand again and not equating yourself to the worst thing to ever walk planet Earth?
Right. Well, when we were talking before the episode, I think viewing it as a discussion with yourself, like you said, have your like your civilized self and your primeval self, and realize that you have to like kind of filter, I guess, your primeval self.
The other thing that
I've taken all those like thoughts that happen randomly and all those feelings, and you have to like understand them, I guess.
Right. You have to like, I don't know. It's like information's that like being handed to you, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And then you have to be able to like, I don't know, you're the editor for the newspaper of you, right? So you handed me an article and I'm like, did you fact check any of this?
Yeah, there's not a single fact on here.
This doesn't seem correct. I don't think that's true, buddy.
Right.
But it's hard too because you want some semblance of control, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if control feels like being right, like knowing what's real and what's not, if that is what you are grasping for control over, it can be a really scary prospect to be like, you need to examine your own thinking.
Mm-hmm.
You need to lay it all out and go through it as the editor and go, all right, is this actually reasonable, rational, true?
Mm-hmm.
Or is this a thought and a feeling that I can acknowledge as a thought and a feeling?
Yeah.
Because that's the thing. Like, you can have thoughts. Like, just because you're better at self-talk doesn't mean that your brain doesn't still hand you like ridiculous
I get random
bullshit.
notes all the time about how horrible I am. I just ignore them now.
Exactly. Like, it's not that the thoughts go away. It's just that you are able to go, yeah, no, that's not accurate.
Right. And it's not like in a conceited way. You know, you're not like puffing yourself up like, oh, I'm never wrong.
No.
Kind of a thing. But like, you know,
yeah, when
you're being mean to yourself.
Right.
And if you can build the habit of catching it, that makes all the difference in the world. That's got to be step one.
Yeah. Well, and I think like separating it into the two separate things helps so much, because then you can have this back and forth dialogue without having to project that into real life conversations and interactions.
Mm-hmm.
Because then you can go, it's almost like, especially with trauma, which is where you find a lot of these like self-esteem issues.
Mm-hmm.
That part of your brain, I feel like, stays that age, right? Like, I will always have to deal with this moody 17-year-old who had no idea about life at all.
Yeah.
I will always have that teenager feeding me nonsense sometimes and being like, everything's horrible.
Well, especially when it's like, it triggers like something triggers a memory.
Yeah.
And you're like, oof, now I'm a kid again, and oof.
Yeah. Where you're like, oh, good, now we're 17.
Yeah.
And we're gonna behave like we're 17.
That's the worst. When you can't control it and you accidentally slip up and now you're acting like a child.
Right.
And you know you're acting like a child, so you double down on it.
Exactly. Because you're like, I don't know how to stop, and we're already here.
Yeah.
So
I'm all in.
Let's go for gold.
Exactly.
Here we go.
I have that bad.
We're gonna burn it to the ground.
I can't not double down especially if I'm wrong about something.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I'm triple wrong about it. Fuck you. You don't even know how wrong I am. I know how wrong I am.
You have no clue how wrong
I'm the wrongest person you'll ever meet.
And that, my friends, is why I'm worth nothing.
Well, yeah.
I rest my case, Your Honor. Like, But we're like building cases against ourselves and
Yeah.
for ourselves. And life is so much easier when we stop keeping track and we live one moment to the next moment.
Right.
And I'm not saying that, like, don't plan ahead and don't reflect. But what I am saying is, like, now is what you can do.
Right. Don't get sidetracked by the possibilities.
Right. Exactly.
Accept that there are possibilities. You can make plans, but please live in the moment and understand how you're
Right.
affecting people.
Right.
Like,
And those possibilities, like, the thing is that you have a lot more control than you think you do.
yes.
And you get to decide whether or not you're going to, like, bludgeon yourself to death internally,
Mm-hmm.
or if you're going to go, ooh, yeah, I screwed up, and here's how, and here's where, and here's the thinking that led there.
Yeah.
I need to work on that to prevent this from happening again and more.
Right.
Right? Like, if you take things that happen and you go, okay, what should I be learning from this?
Yeah. Especially.
I feel like it's so much easier. Like, if I
Yeah.
can look at my life and be like, all right, what was the lesson I was supposed to learn here?
My only problem with that is that sometimes you can't find a lesson.
Yes.
And then you default back to the negativity.
Right.
Like, well, I guess there's nothing to be gained here.
Yeah.
But again, that's how you approach it. Is if you're
Right.
already being like self-introspecting, like,
Yeah.
then you're probably going to be able to go, okay, that's not true.
Right.
At least I hope.
Well, and I mean, if you can't find a lesson, maybe it's practice for a previous lesson.
Oh, true. Reiterate.
Like,
I didn't learn it all the way last time. Now I need to take
Right.
it in for real.
well, and even though, I don't know, it's kind of like what we've talked about with, if we're not paying attention, it's like addiction. You will fall back in.
Oh yeah.
So fast, so hard, so easy.
I mean, we still have that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We've gotten so much better over the last year and a half, but
Mhm.
like there's still times when we'll fall back and be like
Right. Where
right
I'm
back
like,
into the beginning, like,
Yeah.
oh
well, and I've noticed, especially 'cause I took my husband's head off the other day, and I should not have. That was really, really inappropriate of me, and I felt that moment where I was like, I could double down,
mm-hmm.
but I could also reach out and apologize and say that, like, no, dude, I was not behaving in an appropriate manner,
Yeah.
and it wasn't about you. It was definitely a me thing,
Mm-hmm.
and I took it out on you, and that was not okay.
Yeah. I had the same moment with our grandfather.
Oh, really?
Well, when we were talking about the living situation, remember when I was super triggered?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I couldn't help but be like, burning it all down now. Bye.
Right. Yep.
And then I was like, I sat on it for about 30 minutes. And then I was like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Ah.
Because you hit that point where you're like, okay, so I realized I'm in the wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I could use that to inform, like, what I do next and try to, like, make reparations for that.
Yeah, no, I totally.
Or I could, like, double down and use it as proof as to why everything is horrible all the time forever.
Yeah. But that's where you're at the choice. You can make the choice then.
Exactly.
Like if you're on it and you're like, I can do this or this,
Mhm.
and you're, actually thinking about it, not just reacting, then
Right.
you're winning, because then you can change it. Like I did.
Yeah.
I went and apologized. I was like,
Right.
that was ridiculous.
Yeah.
I am so sorry.
Right. Well, and it's hard too, because you don't want, I don't know, I feel like apologies are, a lot of people equate it with, like, I have to admit that I was wrong and I don't feel like I was wrong. Like,
Right.
but really taking responsibility for what happened and being like, okay, here's what you brought me, and that was not a problem in and of itself, but within me, I lost control.
Right. Well, that's the difference. There's like sincere apologies, and then there's the ones where you're playing the blame game, really.
Right.
So like, oh, I was at fault. Can
Mhm.
be not as healthy as being like, oh, I did something wrong.
Right.
I'm gonna blah blah blah.
Right.
Like I know how to react now. Or
Right. Well,
I'm gonna change what I did. Or
yeah.
not just
Especially
like
when you're like affecting somebody else.
right.
So when it comes down to like, ooh, I really hurt somebody, and I can consider that without being like, see, this is why you're horrible.
Yeah.
Instead of like, ooh, I really need to like do something about the hurt that I just caused.
Yeah.
Because it's a weird sense of like self-centeredness almost,
Mm-hmm.
where you're like, everything is about me, goes through me, is in orbit of me, because you get so lost in your own self and disliking your own self, and
Mm-hmm.
all of that culminates in this like oh, they looked at me wrong, it's because I'm horrible, like
Oh yeah,
they hate me,
I have that bad.
right?
I have that so bad because I
Mm.
live in a house with females that have resting bitch face, and they know it,
Yeah.
and I called them out on it. But I mean, this morning,
Yeah.
I'm like, "Good morning, Rin. How are you?" And she's like, "Great."
You're like, what?
And I'm like, "What's wrong?" She's like, "Nothing. I'm happy." And I'm like, "Are you?" She's like, "Why?" You
Why
look a
are you
little
even
angry.
asking? What's wrong with you?
You know, or I'll be talking to Jen and she zones out and then makes this like really angry face.
Yeah.
And I'm like, did I do something wrong? Like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. She's like, what? I'm like, oh,
You're like,
never
"What the
mind.
heck?" Yeah. Or like forgetting, and this is the one thing that drives me crazy, is that like people exist outside of the tiny window that you
Mhm.
see them.
You have to
And
object
they are,
permanence them.
yeah. And they are just as complex as you are.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, I think, hard for our brains to fathom, because the brain in and of itself marvels at itself and is like, this is amazing, and I must be the center of the universe at this point.
Yeah.
Like, everything is happening to me, everything is being done to me.
Yeah.
Like, instead of, they're not. Now this is the one thing that like I like to use in these situations, where I can go, they're not doing it to you, they're just doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Where you have to remind yourself that other people's behavior does not always have anything to do with you
Right.
at all.
Even if like you're directly involved,
Right.
it probably isn't about you. I mean,
Exactly.
that's just fair.
Like, if you can look at the situation and be like, "Whoa, like, did I do something? Did I say something? No, we're in this interaction brand new. Like, you just came home from work and you're in a mood.
Mm-hmm.
Probably not about me.
Yeah.
Probably about work."
I think that happened to Austin earlier.
Mm.
Because there was a day where I was just not in a good mood. Like I was pissed off, and
Yeah.
I didn't have any of my meds on board.
Oh, shit.
Like I forgot to take them the night and the morning.
Oh no.
So I was just
Was
raw.
this in the saga of no sleep?
This was during my no sleep era. Yeah.
Great.
This was last week. I didn't
Yeah.
sleep at the beginning of the week. Who needs it? We were playing. Oh God, what was it? We were playing something, and then he was being sweet too, and I feel like such an asshole. He did this quest before me, and then I was doing it, and it was like solve riddles kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And he's watching me do it, like he's traveling with me and giggling.
Oh no.
And I'm like, I get it. Like I'd be like, heh too, but I took it the wrong fucking way.
Yep.
It hit me just right, and I was like, no, you know what? I left his fire team. I turned off social stuff, and I finished the quest. And then I came back, and he was like, what was that? And I was like, you were pissing me off, but I'm not mad at you. Like I knew enough that I wasn't angry, but
Right. Well, and you have to like mitigate some damage at some point.
well, and then when I apologized, I was like, that had nothing to do with you.
Right.
That was literally just me being mad in general, not having my meds on board. He's like, yeah, I figured.
Yeah.
It's like, good.
Yeah.
At least you were able to understand it, because
Right.
other people would overreact to that.
It's hard though. It's really, really hard. And even when you're like, when you're well practiced,
Yeah.
you can still fall
Oh, absolutely.
through those cracks.
You're still human. You still
Yeah.
have feelings, and
Right. And
like,
sometimes it's hard to like be like, that thought was not rational.
yeah.
You're like, I am totally
Well,
rational.
And the fun thing is that you can be irrational when you say those things. As long as you keep saying them, eventually you believe them. Have you noticed that? Like
yeah.
if you're like, that was bad self-talk, and you're just like mocking it, like
Right.
that was bad, you're
Oh,
still
yeah.
pointing it out.
Oh yeah.
I do it all the time.
Like I had
still.
to start like changing my self-talk through sarcasm
Exactly.
and being like snarky about it. And now I've gotten to a point where like if I do something right and I'm like, hey, that was awesome of me. Good job, brain.
Right.
Like, good job, brain. Never would have happened
Right.
2-3 years ago. Never.
That happened
Would
last night
never
to
have been
Austin.
like,
I was
hey, good job,
Austin,
you.
You're awesome, man. I appreciate you. He was like, thanks.
He said thanks.
Yeah. And then
Aw.
he took the compliment. He was like, did I just accept a compliment? I was like,
That's
yeah, you did.
amazing.
You did.
Right?
Awesome.
When you don't think you're the worst person on earth, it gets easier.
He can't be, because I am. Just kidding.
I'm gonna beat him. I'm gonna beat him. at being the worst person on
I'm subtitling this. When I go back through, I'm totally going to subtitle that. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So, yeah, change the dialogue and turn it into a dialogue.
Yeah,
Because
have a
it's
dialogue.
different. It's different from like self-talk is not the same thing as like having a thought.
Mm-hmm.
Self-talk is the part where you are examining the thought
Right.
and talking to yourself and changing the dialogue and what it means and reasoning with yourself. Because, God, we get stuck where our trauma is.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we have to like reason with that 12-year-old part of your brain.
Yeah.
Because it's a 12-year-old part of your brain. It's not going to be the most rational.
Well, yeah. Scientifically, if you think about it, like the neural pathways that are that memory are still the same as when you were 12.
Exactly.
Like you're literally 12.
Yeah.
When you do that.
Right. And if you are not able to examine that and acknowledge that and be kind to yourself, you're going to fall into it. And then suddenly you're 12.
Right.
And you're going to behave like a 12-year-old.
You're gonna
And
react.
then when you turn into an adult again, you're going to be like, oh my God, what havoc did my 12-year-old self wreak?
What did I do?
I
Oh,
am
no.
horrible.
Yeah, and then you're on that train. Oh, the worst.
So,
I'm
like,
12 years
I'm
old
gonna
and the worst.
punish myself now.
I'm gonna not talk to anybody for a week just to show myself what's up.
Yep. I'm going to not do any of the things I enjoy because
No self-care.
I don't deserve it.
Food? Nah. Water? Nah.
I deserve
Alcohol?
only
Nah.
bad things. That's a dangerous way to go.
Well, that's why
Yeah.
I said nah.
Yeah.
Nothing. You get nothing.
But you are like, are you going to let the 12-year-old part of your brain dictate what is rational? Or are you going to be like, hey, okay, I know that you're feeling away,
Yeah.
but it's really not the end of the world and it's okay.
Yeah. And again, you don't have to mean it.
Yeah.
You'll
Not at
mean it
first.
eventually.
Dang.
Yeah, you build it up.
Yeah. Well, and
Like
even
a
now,
skill.
if I'm mean to myself, I catch it generally, and
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that was not very nice.
No, I do it all the time too. I'm like,
You're like,
bad self-talk.
Wow. Yeah. Or something like absolutely ridiculous comes out, and I'm like, what was that? Like, excuse me, brain.
What was the genesis
What?
of that thought? Because
What was that?
Yikes.
Are you okay?
are we? Okay?
Are we all right? Like, do we need to talk to somebody? What was that? That was messed up.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's how it works.
Yeah.
That's
Ready
how I feel about it.
Ready for break?
I think so.
Good.
Let's take a
Good time
break.
for break.
Good night, please.
Good night, moon. Good night, spoon. Good night, cow jumping over the moon.
You can't rhyme
No, it's
moon and moon and moon and moon.
it's good night, moon.
Is that actually how it goes?
Good night, spoon. Good night.
No, you said good night moon, good night
No.
spoon, good night cow jumping over the moon.
Yeah, no.
So
There's
there's moon and moon.
there's another oon in there.
again. Room.
Good night, room. Good night, spoon. Good night, cow jumping over the moon. Good night. It doesn't matter.
Clock.
That rhymes
Good
with
night.
a different word. So, what do they need to do?
Practice some good self-talk.
Yeah, that's
Be kind to you.
since we're on the kick about it.
There you go.
Say at least one nice thing about yourself,
Yeah.
and then don't negate it. Don't
Right,
be like, no, no,
right.
no.
Let it hang there.
Don't have to
It's
like it.
okay.
Don't have to agree with it. Just let it be.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and we can talk more about like how that all starts when we come back.
Oh yeah, we're going
But
to
you need to take care of you. So drink some water.
eat a snack. You
Take-
are a snack.
Take your meds if you have not.
Go outside. Enjoy the weather if it's nice, and if
Yes.
it's not nice,
Fuzzy socks.
pets. If you have a pet, pet your pet.
If not, pet your blanket
Go to the Dumb Friends League and pet a pet.
or your socks. I don't know.
Just,
People without pets are weird. I don't know what to do with you. Sorry.
and then do something nice for yourself.
Yes.
Say something nice. Do something nice.
Facts. Do it. Do
Yeah.
it now.
And we'll check back with you in like 5 seconds.
Bye. Fantastic Pains now has merch. I know we've been promising it for a while, but it is here. You can find our stuff at fantastic-pains.creator-spring.com. We have t-shirts, hoodies, leggings, wine coolers, I guess you can call them, and my very favorite backpack. So take a minute, go check us out.
Welcome back. How was your break? Ours was great. We got to relax outside a little bit.
Mhm.
It's a good temperature.
Yeah, the sun came out. It's been raining here for the past couple days.
And we've been doodling on my mat.
Doodle mat.
Yeah, here. Pro tip for anyone who has like a giant mat or they get bored with their computer. Get a mat that you can draw on.
Indeed.
That's what I've done.
Yeah.
Look at my cloud. My cloud's my favorite thing.
The cloud is pretty wonderful.
I love the cloud. And Trogdor.
Yes.
The Burninator.
And many doodles aside.
Oh, tons.
Much. Like, fucking, God. Words are really hard to brain right now. Debo.
Debo. Yeah, Debo's on here.
That's, yeah.
He's right here. Debo.
Debo.
Yes.
If you don't know what Debo is, go TikTok.
You need to watch the
Just
TikToks.
go to TikTok.
You know what's funny is that Steph has been watching the TikToks. Not
Really?
Steph. Jen's mom was watching the TikToks.
No.
And she was like, Debone Man. And I was like, what? You know Debo?
Oh, no.
Was not ready for that one. But yeah, she knows about Debo.
Take my bones.
Take my land. Tell me I ain't eating sand.
You're not eating.
I don't know. I'll be free.
You can take my bones from me.
So
if you would like to unfollow, we understand.
Please don't.
But
Please stay. We need you.
Yes.
For the second half, we're going to talk about how to self-talk.
Yes.
And some other examples of ways that you can take responsibility.
Yeah.
More than just like your reaction to things, but like how you approach life.
Yeah. And like taking responsibility is the first step in taking back the power and not being victimized by your own life and your own self and the choices that you feel are out of control.
Yeah. I get frustrated by that a lot. The people who don't take responsibility for like things that they could clearly have approached better. Or
instead of just admitting like I wasn't thinking and I made a snap decision that was not a good decision. But it's that same thing. It's like I have to defend it because otherwise am I bad? You're like,
right. That's not how this works, friend.
Stop defending stupid things.
Yeah.
Let's just be honest with each other and ourselves, please. And that's really what it is like self-talk is, I don't want to say being honest with yourself because people are going to be like, well, I honestly hate myself.
Right.
I get it.
We've been there.
I know.
Yeah.
But being honest in the sense of like rational versus irrational and like habit versus this is something that's actually real and tangible and not to say that like what you think and feel isn't real. It is. What you feel is absolute. It's reality for you. You are experiencing it. No one can refute your feelings. But the things that those feelings lead to or the things that precede those feelings may not be super rational.
No. And part of it is, like we said in the first half, being alone with yourself. Yeah. We were, in last week's episode that didn't happen, we discussed loneliness. Yes. Ad nauseum, and it was great. It was a great episode. But we talked a bit about how you can be responsible for your loneliness. Right. There's a way to break out of it or to change your thinking patterns so that you're not isolated.
Right. Well, and the example that was used was last week I went and I did game night with my friends.
Oh, yeah.
And it was one of those things where it came up and I just had this thought where I was like, I have been, like, I feel so on the outside, but also I'm the one who put myself there. Right. And so this feeling of being on the outside, it doesn't belong to anybody else. It's not something that I can blame on anybody else. Like, it's an uncomfortable thing that I'm holding, but I'm also have to realize that, yeah, I put myself here. Right. And I'm the only person who can take responsibility for that and move myself out of there. Mm-hmm. And so I wound up going and having a really good time and reconnecting with people. And it felt a lot better. It's hard. It's hard before you make the decision. But once you've made it, you're like, oh, yeah.
Well, yeah.
Why didn't I do this?
Well, and like before you make the decision, you're assuming that you have that built up resentment that everyone doesn't like you because you don't go. Yeah. You have to get over that somehow. But...
Right. Well, and you have to understand that, like, you're not a mind reader.
Yeah.
As much as you might think you are.
You're not.
You're not. And no matter how many times you've been correct in the past, you're still not.
It's just confirmation bias, friend.
Yeah. Right, because we're only counting the things that we're
We're right
actively
about.
like using, right?
Yeah.
Like we're not counting. And that's like that always and never and every time and all of those things that like it's really not always and never and every time and no time. And but those times that we can use as confirmation, we're like, oh yeah, jump on that real quick. See, they hate you.
Of course.
They've
It all
always
leads up
hated
to this.
you.
They've been planning this for years. Yeah, I've been there.
Right. Well, and if you, I don't know, you give into that and you find yourself lonely, right? Like you lose touch. And then when you lose touch, you kind of become your own echo chamber, I guess.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Like you lose the people who could help you reason through things.
Yeah.
And you're not reaching out to work through stuff. You're just collecting nastiness to use against yourself.
Right.
And there's no one there to refute it.
Everything you observe or take in is going to be shaded with that negative light. Like
exactly.
You're going to be like, oh, they got together without me. Clearly they hate me. They probably talked about how horrible I am.
They didn't invite me this time.
Right. Or, you just see people living their lives on Facebook.
Right.
And you're like, oh, wow, my life's horrible by comparison.
But it's these tiny little snippets.
Yeah.
Right? Like
that's why I don't use Facebook at all. Don't touch it. We have a Facebook
just for
account.
the podcast.
Yeah, and Messenger. Just so I could reach people. Don't use Facebook. Steph the other day was like, hey, can you get on Facebook and check some things? And I was like, what? I don't Facebook. I don't.
No, I do not wish it.
I wish to have mental health.
I have some.
No, it's mine.
It's not very good.
I'm not going to share. Mine's great. I only need to take 5 medications for my mental health. Only 5.
Only 5.
And keep in mind, I'm 2 people because I'm bipolar.
That's totally what that means.
One of my friends said that. Let's talk about how I'm bipolar, and he was like, "Is that the one where you have like no?"
Oh no!
It just means that I have highs and lows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Austin admitted he had bipolar in front of them too.
Really?
Yeah, I was like,
the whole group?
Yeah, I was like, I'm bipolar, and Austin was like, yeah, me too.
Aww.
It's like,
you make people feel safe. Look at you.
Anyways,
good work.
Made him less lonely.
Yes, which is the goal, really, right?
Yeah.
Like these conversations are conversations that we have because we've been there, we've done it, and they're not judgments, right?
Oh, God, no.
It's just you are the only person who has the power to like change the patterns that you keep slipping into. You're the only one who gets to break that cycle.
You're the only one that can. Like,
exactly.
No one else is going to know how you think or why you think.
Right.
You can, and you can analyze it, think about it, and come to the not nasty conclusions.
You can be that cycle breaker, but breaking that cycle, you have to take responsibility for the missteps and for ideas that don't serve you and for thought patterns that are not serving you. And then from there, you choose to make changes.
Yeah.
Right? Like you choose to do it differently. You have to choose to do it differently. And I know there are points where like we've all hit that point where we're like, we're totally out of control. I have no control over me or my life or what's happening or but you do. You do.
Yeah.
It feels out of control.
Yeah.
It's chaotic.
Well, and next time you feel out of control, think about it. Be like, am I actually unable to control myself in this situation? I mean, because you should be able to.
Yeah.
You may not think you can, but if you try.
Right. Well, and I mean, it's not going to mean that you can control the situation.
No.
But you can control your responses in those situations. And you can control reparations when you do misstep. Like there are days like when I bit my husband's head off for no reason. No good reason. I had to sit on it for a minute, but like I had to go, I messed up and that was bad and I should not have done that. And then I had to really apologize.
Well, yeah. And as a side effect, I've noticed like recently taking accountability for when I do things wrong in general and like apologizing for them genuinely, it makes for better relationships.
Yes.
Like I would just stomach it. Like I would admit that I'm wrong to myself,
Right.
and then just sit on it and then be
Mhm.
upset about it because I did something bad.
Yeah.
And I'm bad. But through the podcast, I've gotten so much better at self-talk and expressing myself.
Yeah.
That I'm able to be like, oh, I really messed up. I'm sorry.
Right.
Like I did
'cause
not
it
mean
stops,
for this.
It stops being about you.
Yeah.
Right. It stops going through that filter of like, I'm at the center of all of this.
Mm-hmm.
You stop victimizing yourself to yourself.
It's funny. It took making a podcast that has nothing but attention on me to realize more so that I'm not in the center of everything.
Right.
Like I already knew it, but like now it's like
it's like solidified.
Exactly.
Right. Like
it was a nebulous concept. Now it's crystallized.
Yeah. Like when you can understand, when you can look at and understand that you're not that important. And I mean that to say that like this isn't some drama on TV,
right,
where you're the main character. Like everybody wants to be the main character, right? And you're the main character of your own life. When in reality, like we're all just trying to get through. Everybody, we're all just trying to get through.
Mm-hmm.
And the better you can make your relationships, the stronger your support networks are going to be, and the less likely you are to feel that like overwhelming loneliness.
Mm-hmm.
Because we create loneliness for ourselves, and then we double down on that loneliness.
Do you think that builds a sense of self-respect too? Like admitting the faults and understanding them?
Yeah, I think so. I think that, I don't know, because if you can, when you retrospectively turn around and you're like, wow, I handled that really well.
Right.
That's a big boost internally to be able to say like, yeah, I did wrong. I apologized for it. I recognized it, and I repaired the damage done in that relationship however I could. It builds trust between you and that other person. And I think having other people put some faith in you gives you, like, it's a different kind of responsibility, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like when other people are respecting the way you're approaching things, and you can go, wow, okay, I can't keep telling myself I'm horrible when all evidence points to
exactly
not so much, dude. It's fine.
Mm-hmm. Well, and
you
like
you
handled things the right way. Yeah. I was just it occurred to me. I was like, oh,
pride and accomplishment. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because I mean, even when we lose control in those moments, we regain that control and then do something good with it. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And when you are able to do that, you're less likely to feel like out of control in life.
Yeah. That's weird. Give up the control to feel like you have more control.
Right.
But it does work.
It does.
Really does.
Yeah. Because all you need is control over you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but again, like if you're afraid to be with you, you're going to grasp for control anywhere and everywhere else.
Yeah.
But you're not going to find it. You're going to find superficial control that is destroying relationships, that is failing you either physically, mentally, or emotionally, or all of the above.
Mm-hmm.
And like grasping for control, people turn to drugs and alcohol and spousal abuse. Like,
no, you're absolutely right.
We can't be in control of the world. The world is going to be how the world is.
Yeah.
Like, but if every single one of us took some responsibility and took control of our own selves, collectively, we could make the world suck a little less.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, and one of the notes that you have written down here is being a victim to your own life.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about how you feel victimized, and
yeah,
that is hard to get out of.
Yeah,
because it's a habit that you build to kind of justify the things you're doing,
right, or how you're feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I think that comes from having your feelings invalidated in the past.
Yeah,
and so you learn that in order to have your feelings validated, like you have to have a damn good reason.
Mm-hmm.
And so you create those really crazy damn good reasons.
That's so true.
Right? Like, we get it, we understand it, but and that's the hard part, is like the same way that disability is not an excuse, mental illness is not an excuse.
It's not.
Or
No.
neurodivergence is not an excuse. You are still responsible for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Other people can't be responsible for your thinking and your relationships with others. Like, they can't carry you through. You have to take the reins. It's
Yeah.
yours. Here.
Well, and what's interesting is, on the flip side, knowing that about yourself and knowing that other people do that helps you understand people better, I feel.
Yeah.
When you know that they're playing the victim in their life and they have certain things that are going to, like the way they present things.
Yeah.
You know, it's just easier to, I think, handle people.
Right. Well, because I think you can come at it with more empathy.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
if you can remove the personalizations, right, you can, I don't know, I always think of it as like, you kind of push back, you sit up at the table and you can lay it all out.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see different things that point to different things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you can lay it all out, it's easier to understand not only yourself but other people.
Yeah.
And see patterns and go, oh yeah, I know what that one is. Like, I understand where they're coming from. But on that end, it's hard to not want to like justify it for them.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, you want to.
Yeah.
It's weird, like, because you're kind of just in the habit of doing it.
Right.
Right. So if you're defending yourself, you're going to defend other people the same way.
Right.
And be like, well, you know, it's probably this.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, but they didn't have to react that way.
Right.
They could have not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and again, it's like being a victim to your own life. You can't be a victim to others on the other end of that either.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Oh, that's true. There is the overcompensating where everything else is pushed on
right.
everyone else's plate. Like,
Uh-huh.
well, it's your fault.
Yeah.
No, it's
Oh,
not.
yeah. There's a ton of that
Mhm.
where it's like, well, you made me feel, or you made me do this thing that like made it worse.
Right.
And you're like, no,
Yeah.
nobody made you nothing. Nope.
Just no.
No. And I mean, if someone hurts you, it's one thing to be like, the thing that you did hurt me.
Mm-hmm.
But it's different to be like, well, you made me feel blank, and so I did this in response, and that's totally excusable because you made me. Like, no. You can literally just say, like, the thing you did hurt me.
I was going to say, yeah. I do that with Jen all the time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm always like, this is stupid. Bear with me. But when you said that, I got really offended. And I know it makes no sense. Like, just verbalizing it even gets rid of all that, like, build up tension.
Weight, yeah. Like, it stops, I don't know. It always reminds me of, like, taking the top off of a soda can that, like, is getting ready to blow. Like, release some of that pressure by just explicit communication, right?
Yeah, it doesn't have to make sense either. You can tell them when you're being irrational.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
no, how many times have I been like, ugh, I just hurt my own feelings.
Oh, God, yeah. Dude, we do it all the time.
You're like, wow, I had a thought and it was not a nice one. Wow.
That's the best when you're sitting by yourself and suddenly, like, that'll pop in your head. You're like, no one's around. You're like, oh, God. What was that?
You're like, I did not deserve that. Thank you very much. Wow.
Brain.
Excuse you.
Get a grip.
Yeah. But I mean, like, that self-talk, I think, not only does self-talk build empathy, but it's built off of empathy.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because you have to be able to look at the things you're saying to yourself and go, like, would I say this to somebody I cared about? Great. I get it. You don't care about you. That's fine right now.
But
would you say it to a stranger?
Yeah. That was a
would
huge
you say
one for
it
me.
to a coworker? Like, would you say those things?
In the beginning of therapy, that was where we started.
Yeah.
I remember that. And that was huge.
Yeah.
Like, would you talk to someone you don't know this way? No.
Oh, absolutely not.
So you would treat a stranger better than you would treat yourself. And
Right.
You're like, yeah. That is weird.
Right.
You know?
And you're like, why? And you're like, because I deserve bad things. And you're like, what makes you so special that you think you deserve worse than every other human on planet Earth?
Right.
Are you Hitler?
No, but are you?
If you are, just don't watch it. Get out of here.
Get out of here, Hitler.
You're supposed to be dead, dude.
Go back to being dead.
Jesus.
Sillies.
No reincarnation for you.
Oh, she denied his reincarnation card?
But I mean, all these things, like, they all become building blocks for themselves.
Yeah.
And they become building blocks for, like, empathy and understanding and relationship skills and respect for your own self, which is huge. Like,
Yeah.
if you don't respect you, how are you going to expect others to respect you?
Right. You're not
when
going to...
you're setting the standard.
You'll let other people walk all over you when you don't like yourself.
Yeah.
And that's not good. You're deserving more.
Right.
Like, you deserve
Simply
better.
because you exist. Let's be clear about that.
Mm-hmm. You are not what you can produce.
No. Not at all. And you're not your mistakes. Like, that's not what defines you.
No.
We make mistakes. We don't become our mistakes.
Yeah, your mistakes can become your victories too.
Yeah. If you choose to, like, learn from that and take control and really, like, rein in your life and decide what it is you want out of those interactions, what you want to take away from it. Yeah. Don't be a victim.
Try not to be a victim. You got to transition.
Yeah.
I know we're saying, like, don't do this. And it's easy to immediately go, well, I can't do that, and then quit.
Yeah.
Like, if
I think the trick is, like, stop thinking about yourself so much.
That's true. Yeah.
Like, if you start thinking about other people, even just in passing, if you're like, I'm going to look at a person and imagine what that person is feeling and maybe what, like, they go through and start externalizing your focus. Because when you internalize, we get so wrapped up in that, like, primal brain, the part of you that's like, caveman bat, like, we're terrible, bludgeon overhead now. Like, yeah. And then that's your lens for life. Like, you don't want that.
I don't deserve that.
Yeah.
You're deserving of good things, despite what your brain says.
Yeah. Tell your brain to shh.
Just shh.
Zip. And you can. Like, you can talk to it. You can talk to your brain. I promise. And if you can't, say it out loud. Go find a spot and go talk to yourself for a little while.
If you are struggling with that, you can also write stuff down.
Yes.
You could write letters to yourself, expressing how you feel about things, and
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there are
that's
outlets,
how you process.
other outlets to get it back into you.
Or like video diaries.
Oh yeah.
Like, if you're not watching right now, it's actually been really interesting to watch Stephen Hilton going through his separation and making, like, video logs every single day.
Right.
And so you can see how his mental state starts off and it's so internally focused. And then as he starts to open up and as he starts to become responsible to other people and as he starts to accept other people caring about him, like, the more... It's a really interesting case study.
Yeah.
I think. So check that out if you haven't, because that's an option. You can talk to a camera and then watch that. I don't know. You can write, journal, keep a diary.
I mean, it's kind of what we're doing.
Yeah.
Because we go back and watch the episodes occasionally or the TikToks when I need to laugh.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to watch and then look at the growth and see how things are, or even better, when I remember things.
Yeah.
Like, I forgot a skill set, or I haven't actively practiced something in a while, and I'm like, oh yeah, I need to do that.
Yep. That's a really big one.
Yeah.
But, like, it's a learning process and you're never going to be 100% perfect at it.
No.
And like I said, like, it's easy to fall and it's hard to climb up. Like, it's hard to get back up and get going. But once you do, you'll find that it comes a little more naturally to just pick yourself up and keep going. Like, it's okay to fall and it's okay to not make the progress you thought you were making.
Yeah.
And I know
mistakes
it, like,
happen.
Hurts, but it's okay for things to hurt too. That's okay. Let it hurt.
That's a big one for me.
Yeah.
Not like physical pain, but, like, emotional.
Right.
Like, if I'm feeling anxious about something, I almost like meditation, start breathing, do grounding exercises, and just kind of let it happen.
Yeah.
You have to let it happen.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay.
Right. Yeah. It's something that your body's going to go through regardless. And, like, we as humans have lost kind of our animal connection to resetting our own nervous systems.
What was it? What was the reset technique?
Shaking. Like just shaking it all out.
Yeah.
Because animals do it if they've gone
Yep.
through something
Get rid of all the
incredibly
tension.
stressful. Yeah. They'll shake off.
So try that actually.
Yeah.
I
Or dance. It's a good one.
if you're dancing, record it. I want to see.
Do it.
Even if it's like just a derpy dance, don't care. Sorry, I'm interested.
Name
in
it
dance.
too. Name the dance.
We'll make a whole episode dedicated to dance if you do.
Perfect. Wonderful.
I'll learn how to move rhythmically in front of a camera because I can't. They tried to teach me in sailing school, like the
Really?
girls. Could not learn it. I suck.
I have a hard time believing that, but okay. I'll take your word for it for now.
I'm good with rhythm. Like I love
Yeah.
playing music and stuff. Dance
Can't dance?
does not translate.
Interesting.
Mm-mm.
I can dance, but it's my Latin roots. So
Oh, she's cultured.
burn. I'm brown.
I'm brown. I'm white. Together we make mocha.
Mocha. Coffee.
Coffee.
Coffee. All right. Time to wrap up?
Yeah, it's not as long, but
Yeah.
I
It was
feel
good conversation.
yeah, I feel
and
like we got to a point.
Yeah. And I mean, it's something that I'm sure we will revisit as time goes on because, like I said, like it's a lifelong practice.
Yeah, as it becomes an issue for us, we'll bring it back.
And it's practice.
Yeah.
Practice those skill sets so that they come a little more naturally when you need them.
Mm-hmm. Do me a favor and jump into the Discord and write comments down about like
Mm.
I just want to know how the episode affected you.
Yeah.
It's like a weird. I know it's like asking for a review card, but I need input.
Yeah.
So go for it.
Yeah.
Right, go
No, that
in.
makes sense.
Go to Discord. Tell us how you feel, where we flubbed up, or if you liked it.
For posterity.
See, and I almost was a bit negative there. I stopped myself. I was like, "Tell us how we ruined it." No.
Yes, we ruined our conversation between the two of us.
I'm good at that. But yeah, also just join for fun.
Yeah, always. And it's a fabulous community full of really amazing people.
You guys
who
made me really happy this weekend.
we
So.
love and respect hugely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So sweet. Venmo me $1,000
That's my line. We actually have a PayPal now.
if you want to send us money for some coffee.
I think it's
we will take some coffee money.
Fantastic Pains / PayPal.me. Yeah,
Mhm.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
If you want,
It'll be in the description.
it doesn't
anyway.
matter. It's not the end
all
of the
good.
world if no one pays attention to it. It's just a thing we have.
Yes.
And we have a website.
Yeah, our website is
Our
up and
website
live.
is up. We were going to talk about it last week, but you know what happened. We have a website where we're going to be posting future merch. We
Yeah.
have some unique drops that we're going to do,
Yes.
giveaways, because we have some unique patterns,
Mhm.
and you can participate.
Yeah.
Everything can be found there. So check
For
it out.
sure.
Fantasticpains.com. You'll have to type it in because search engines don't have it yet.
They do though.
Well, when I search it up, it doesn't show up
Ah, bummer.
right away. It'll take us to the podcast, like
Oh,
the
okay.
YouTube or the Facebook, because they've been in existence longer.
We're on Google. Can
We're
you
on
believe
Google.
it? What
Yeah.
the heck?
So yeah, have fun.
Sweet. All right, my friends. Thanks for coming along. I hope you found value in this. If you did find value in it, or if you're angry about it and you need someone else to talk to, send it to somebody. Give it a share. If you like it, hit the like button.
Mm-hmm.
Subscribe if you haven't already, and join the Discord.
Become one of our trash pandas.
Chill.
That's what our fans are.
Oh
called.
yeah, we've decided we're no longer zebras.
No,
No, we're trash pandas.
trash pandas. So like, there's the umbrella turned zebra. It's still there, but we identify more as trash pandas, which is down
There's
here.
a category
Yeah,
of
'cause-
zebra. It's just trash pandas.
you know, there's like other
There's still
invisible
black
illnesses.
and white. You know, it's fine.
Exactly. You got like
When you hear hoofbeats,
chronic illness
think
is up
trash
here,
pandas.
and then us, the trash
Not
pandas,
horses.
down here, digging through the trash, or the trash is on fire. Who knows? It's a weekly thing.
The trash pandas are on fire.
Oh no!
Oh no.
Oh no!
All right, my loves. Thank you for coming along. We always enjoy our time with you, and it's always good to have these conversations. 'cause
Yeah.
I think we get a lot out of it as well.
We do.
Yeah. So, until the next time, be kind to you.
Be kind to others.
And we will see you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.